football.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into Purple Daily. Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff. We appreciate you hanging out with us. And a quick shout out before we get into a few things on this Training Camp Notes edition, including NFL Power Rankings from ESPN's NFL Nation. Where should the Vikings fall going in with a couple weeks of spring training, of training camp? My sports mind is just messed up in 2020. But Federated Insurance has been helping business owners. I know enough to know that Federated is a great partner to local business owners in the state of Minnesota. And you can find a full list of industries Federated protects at their website, federatedinsurance.com. And we appreciate the partnership here on Purple Daily and across Score North. So if you're a business owner out there and you just want a little bit more frontline protection, peace of mind, shielding against everyday challenges, federatedinsurance.com. At Federated, it's our business to protect yours. So, all right, let's get into this. We'll get into some news and notes from training camp, but let's start with, we like ranking things on this show. We like
hell yeah.
And ESPN's NFL Nation, so the collection of all the ESPN writers. I don't think they have 32 anymore because I think they had some cuts, but they definitely cover all 32 teams with like 20 writers or something, including our friend Courtney Cronin on the Friday episodes of Purple Daily. Where do you guys think? Have you guys looked at these rankings yet?
I saw where the Vikings are.
I did too.
Okay.
I did too. I saw where the Vikings were. I did not look at the rest.
Okay. So I'll just scroll through here. Kansas City is number one. Not super shocking. They have also put for each team who's in the hot seat, which player is in the hot seat. So a couple things to parse apart here. Kansas City number one.
Yep.
Baltimore number two.
Yep.
Any disagreements there? Those pretty clearly the two best teams.
Kansas City won. Yeah, no, that's fine.
San Francisco three. Not going to argue that, especially what happened to the Vikings when they went to San Francisco in the playoffs. New Orleans on the hot seat for them, Drew Brees.
Interesting.
Seattle Seahawks at number 5. Number 6, Buccaneers. That's pretty high.
Pretty high.
The Seahawks also might be too high.
You and I always disagree about the Seahawks.
Yeah, we do, but I think I'm right now.
Okay. Packers number 7.
Ooh. No, that's no.
aggressive.
No.
Aggressive.
No.
Cowboys number 8. Titans 9. Vikings 10. Your thoughts?
I think the Cowboys are probably too low. The Packers are too high. Seattle, I think, is too high. Tampa Bay, I need to see more. But here's the thing about, so this is one sport where trying to, and this exercise is fun, so it's fine, but we're trying to rank teams in the National Football League, to me, is incredibly difficult because of the fluctuation of probably between the two conferences. There's going to be 4 teams that just shock you. Like, there's always going to be 2 that pop up, and you're like, where did they come from? And then there's going to be 2 where you think to yourself, that's a pretty good team, and they fall flat. But, yeah, my initial inclination is I think Dallas with the coaching change, and I like Dak, I think Dallas is probably higher, or they should be higher than they are in that ranking. And I got to be honest, I don't know what to make of Green Bay. And I will take that comment to the entire NFC North. I don't know what to make of the entire division. I'm not sure I like it that much.
I feel like Chicago has been the same team for my whole life.
Yes.
No, but I'm saying
good defense,
as a whole, though.
Good home field advantage.
Do you think that this is I don't think this division for 2020 right now is really that good.
See, I actually think it's very formidable. And I think people tend to just write the Lions off, but Matt Stafford's a good quarterback. I think the Lions as like the lowest rung. I'm not saying that they're going to be 11-5, but I think the Lions are formidable.
They're coached by a moron.
They're formidable. The Lions are a formidable team. You don't just roll over the Lions like you did 10 years ago.
I think that's been changing the last couple of years. I think you actually do now. Now, you didn't a couple of years ago.
I feel like the Lions, was it a couple of years ago? The Lions lost like 7 games with the lead or something,
right? Because they were
the second half.
Because they were reverting to
okay, but they're not getting beat 40-10 every week.
They're still getting beat.
Chicago has a playoff caliber defense, and if they can just figure something out offensively,
yeah, I think.
Green Bay went 13-3 last year.
Right,
so even if they regress to 10-6, like they're still a playoff team.
But I think Green Bay is gonna. I don't think the Green Bay was a true 13-win team in Chicago.
Agreed.
I'm very curious to see. Nagy got off to a really good start in Chicago, and they looked really strong. And then we started to see some problems there, quarterback and coaching. And the Vikings, I can't decide on. I'm just saying. I'm not going to be surprised if this is a down year for that division.
The Bears on this list are 22nd, and the Lions are 25th for the record.
Yeah.
I think the Packers are too high too. But I also think like now it's almost like we're going the other way. It's like everyone agrees the Packers weren't a real 13-3 team last year, and everyone agrees that they probably shouldn't be ranked, except for the NFL Nation writers, 7th out of 32 teams. But I almost feel like we're going the other way too much now, where it's like the Packers are garbage. No, I mean, if the Packers would have went 10-6 or 11-5 last year, I think more people would have felt better about their placement as a competitive team in the NFC. But like the narrative is swung so far to like they're just not a 13-3 team, right? But they have Aaron Rodgers, and they're probably still a 10-6 or 11-5 team.
I'm not sure their coach is great though. I just don't know with them. I've got question marks.
Yeah. Drafting a quarterback and trading up for a quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers in the middle of Aaron Rodgers' last contract seems to be a problematic thing. And then a running back when you already have Aaron Jones, I
didn't get it.
It's all very weird.
You don't go get the quarterback the necessary help that you should have and could have, which is odd. The Packers are not nearly as well run as they were 5 to 8 years back. Like they were at one time, I thought, incredibly smart and savvy. And then Ted Thompson lost his fastball at some point in time there, and they've never really come back. So I don't know. The one thing in this conference that I believe, and I could be proven wrong here, but the one thing that I do believe is that Dallas is going to be a really good team.
I do agree with that.
I like what Dallas has. I think if the coaching change is going to help, they've got a lot of parts and a quarterback that could make them if they win 13 games, I'm not going to be absolutely shocked by that.
So our friend Courtney, she has Pat Elflein as the who's on the hot seat. And by the way, it can be anyone. It can be player, coach, coordinator. Like for the Packers, ESPN.com. Is it still our guy Domofsky? Who's writing for the Packers?
Rob Domofsky.
Yep, Domofsky has Mike Pettin, the defensive coordinator, on the hot seat for the Packers. Well, I mean, get your defense in order.
No, I like it.
So Pat Elflein is on the hot seat for the Vikings. And Courtney writes, Elflein entering a contract year, so the way he performs in his move to right guard will be critical to his future in Minnesota, and I would even add beyond for any other team looking to sign him. He struggled in his move from center to left guard. There's been injury issues. So do you guys agree, of all the coaches and players on the Vikings in 2020, who should be on the hot seat? Is it Pat Elflein? Is he most on the hot seat? I mean, Zimmer and Spielman just got contract extensions, so it's pretty tough to put those guys on the hot seat.
Yeah, but I don't really care about Elflein. I mean, if he fails, he's going to be discarded like a deck chair on a ship. They're just going to throw him off, and who cares? I'd like to have more fun with this. I'm going to give you guys a name. Anthony Barr. Okay. Anthony Barr. Zim's guy. Beyond Teddy, his first ever first-round pick, taken first, I believe 9th overall after the trade with Cleveland in that draft, right? Anthony Barr, and he came back here. He got a contract, which pays him pretty damn well, right? I think Anthony Barr is going to be a guy that we would all, including the coaching staff possibly, like to see more from. Like, Courtney's not wrong. Elflein is. But he's a guard. He's going to be, no pun intended here, discarded quickly if he can't do the job. And I wasn't trying.
Discarded, but I see what you did there.
I'm not trying to be funny here, but I am. But anyway, I'm going to say Barr.
Declan, what do you think? Who should be most on the hot seat?
It's probably Elflein. I don't want to put this guy on the hot seat. It's more he's under the microscope, and it's Mike Hughes. Like, if Mike Hughes, he's not really on a hot seat. He's going to give every opportunity to succeed because he's, if de facto, the number one corner on this team. But I'm really curious if he's either not healthy or if he can't perform up to his level, that if they just ditch it and they have to go up to Gladney or Dantzler and Holton Hill and just be like, well, man, we whiffed on Mike Hughes. I'm really curious to see what Mike Hughes does in training camp because he hasn't stayed healthy. He's showed some flashes when he's been able to stay on the field.
Yeah, he's good.
But I do think there's definitely a microscope that I would put under Mike Hughes.
So we've got hot seats and microscopes. I think you guys are actually overthinking this a little bit.
Okay.
The hot seat to me is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, guaranteed money runs out after 2021.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't run out, but his dead cap in 2022.
The clock is ticking, Kirk.
I mean, his dead cap.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
You can get rid of him after 2021. And so if he doesn't help the Vikings take a step, or if he were to take a step back and regress in some form, what would happen is the Vikings front office and Rick Spielman and company would start to look at him and start to look for an exit strategy. right now they've committed to a contract and a restructure and guarantee money through 2021 that makes it really hard to trade him. But if he takes a step back, they would start to look at what's our next option. Are we drafting someone in 2021? Are we looking at the free agent list, the trade opportunities?
I like it.
So I think like just because he signed a new contract extension and he's been relatively good in the regular season throughout his career and had a great playoff game against the Saints doesn't mean that he's not close to maybe the edge of them making a different decision.
Offensive line-wise, I've got one above Elflein that I think is a legitimate hot seat. It's time to play really well, and it's not the left tackle because I think he's gone regardless, okay? How about this one, gentlemen? How about Garrett Bradbury? He's a first-round draft pick. He's going into year 2. The expectation for him, in my opinion, in year 2 should be enormous. Because we cut him, rightfully so probably, right? We cut him a ton of rookie slack. He wasn't that big yet. That's a tough position to play as a rookie. You're making a lot of line calls. You got the sweaty butt cheeks. That's a problem. And you know what? That's all fine. But this is year 2. And you are to Dex's point with Mike Hughes, and he's right about this, you're a first-round draft pick. Like, this is not you had a tough second year, but the third year might be an improvement because we signed you off the street. How about Garrett Bradbury? Let's put some pressure on Garrett Bradbury.
I don't mind that one. I mean, they drafted him. Some of it's just like, it's not his fault that he was drafted where he was drafted, and he's going to try as hard as he can. But from an expectation standpoint, I think the expectation when you draft a guy in the first round at that position is that he's like an 8-year starting center for you, that he is Matt Burke, that he is John Sullivan wasn't that long, but like that you're drafting a guy and you're grooming him to be the starting center and build cohesion for the better part of a decade if he can stay healthy.
Absolutely.
So I don't disagree with that one. It feels like year 2 of a 4-year rookie contract with a 5th-year option might be a little early to start putting that kind of pressure on him.
But he can't play like he did last year.
He was so bad last year
for
certain chunks.
He can't be picked up and chucked into the second row in Green Bay.
Yep, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. All right, next item on the list here, Vikings training camp notes. So Kirk Cousins, I've got this one for you guys. All right, Kirk Cousins.
I saw this in the prep notes.
Okay.
I did not know about
audio
this.
from you. This is Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football on NFL Network has his own podcast on the Ringer Network. It's called 10 Questions. He sits down with top NFL players. Aaron Rodgers was on a recent episode. And I think this episode comes out today or tomorrow. And he was talking to Ross Tucker on Ross Tucker's football podcast about his Kirk Cousins episode. And
of the time he attempted for his 30th birthday party to hire Creed to play a private concert in his home and looked it up and had his agent get in touch with Creed's people and eventually balked at the price. And I'm like, Kirk, you make a really good living. Everybody in the world knows how much money you make. This is your 30th birthday. You couldn't afford Scott Stapp to show up and sing Arms Wide Open for one night. You couldn't swing that. And he gets into a whole description of trying to hire it. So that's episode 4, and that'll be out in a couple weeks from now.
How shocked are you guys that Creed is the band that Kirk Cousins has attached himself to here? I believe this isn't the first time we've heard that Kirk Cousins loves himself some Creed.
Least surprising thing I've ever heard. And it's almost
Are you out on Creed?
Equally as surprising that he said no once he figured out the price.
What do you think the price was?
I will go. It was in the 6 digits. I bet it was over $100,000.
All right. So I'm going to be honest. I've actually done some research on this inexplicably throughout the last 10 years.
Did you call Creed?
There is a website, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but there is a website that has like a list of anyone you could ever imagine to make a musical appearance at a party or a private event or whatever it is.
Okay.
And the lowest prices are like $7,000. Like you can get like some washed up, C-level 80s band that's still around from like Nelson or what's that band? Nelson from like the late 90s. I think I saw them on there.
Ricky Nelson's Kids, yeah.
Okay. But the top acts tend to be more like 50,000 to 100,000. Like if you wanted Michael McDonald or someone to show up or whatever, like name your, somebody under Lady Gaga, but like kind of old, and $50,000 or $100,000 for them to show up and just play a private event. If you were rich, would you pay like $50,000 for a band to show up?
If you had to
just with like your friends, at a grill out party.
Yes.
Who we talking?
Oh, who would you want?
Well,
Don Henley.
No. No way. I'm not paying Don Henley $50,000. Sorry. And he'd probably want more than that.
Bob Seger. I'm trying to think of guys from your childhood. Silver Bullet Band. 50 grand. You're rich.
They're so old now.
Wouldn't it be hilarious?
I guess if I'm
would you ever book,
rich.
just to be funny, would you ever rich book Hanson to just sing Mbop for 50 grand?
Those kids
Probably
are
10
now
grand.
not attractive adults. I saw a picture of them. They did not age well. They're not attractive adults.
All right.
That was a catchy little tune back in the day.
It was.
Mbop? It
I think I was in my 20s back then.
I'm one of the few fans of, unlike a lot of our football reporting friends, who does enjoy country music. Now, I do think country music belongs in certain places and it does not belong in others,
Nothing wrong
i.e.
with
the
country.
football field.
Nothing wrong with
I
country.
like top 40, what the public
Courtney
perceives as
hates country.
crappy country music.
Wow.
I'm a big fan of it. So there's like 3 country artists I'd probably would like to see. I'd like to see Chris Stapleton.
So if you're rich, you're going to pay 40 grand for Chris Stapleton to just come hang out with you and
1,000%.
sing Traveler or something?
I would probably pay more than $40,000.
Okay.
Jeez.
If
you're rich.
you're assuming,
It's
yeah,
not
I'm assuming
money.
I'm a millionaire, I'm
That's
definitely
good,
going to
okay.
do
Like
that.
Kirk Cousins has like $100 million in his checking account. So
But he was too cheap
and
to book
balked at the
Creed.
price of Creed. What is that?
Does Creed's guy talk like he sings?
I bet he does.
With arms wide open. That guy?
You think he shows up and
Scott
talks
Stapp, right?
and talks to Kirk like that? Hey, buddy, what's going
I'm
on?
6 feet from the edge. He's got a great, I will say, he's got a great distinct voice. Anyways, moving on to the next update here.
Oh, wait. I got a story though.
Okay.
So the year, I think it was the first year that I covered the Packers. In fact, it was the weekend of the Malice at the Palace. The Packers were playing in Houston, and my buddy Wildy hooked me up with a Houston sports columnist, John McClain. Great guy.
Okay.
And McClain knows everybody. He's sort of like the Sid of Houston, so he knows everybody, right? So this weekend, there were Packer fans who lived in Houston, including this one guy who was like a doctor or something. Anyway, super rich. He, in his backyard, I'm not kidding you, recreated the scene from like the Ice Bowl. Like he brought in fake snow and stuck it in his backyard. His maid's house was probably bigger than my house right now. And like the ticket to get in was a replica of the Ice Bowl ticket. He had a tennis court, huge tennis courts, probably 2 of them, on which he built tents and a stage. And he hired, I'm not joking, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy to come in and play.
That's great.
And so we're in his
Hilarious.
and so we're in this guy's backyard, and of course it's a mansion, so it's not like there's houses nearby.
Do you want? I've found the website. I know how much Big Bad Voodoo
It's
Daddy
11
costs.
o'clock at night, and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy is playing.
Dude, little Zoot Suit Riot. That's great.
It was really
Throw back
good.
A bottle of beer.
It was really good, but I'm
So-
saying they're playing in this guy's house in Houston, or backyard in Houston.
I found this website. So Big Bad Voodoo, how much do you think he paid Big Bad Voodoo Daddy?
Oh, this is
This is a
2000
website that tells you what it costs to bring in for, like, if Kirk Cousins wants Creed.
Well, I mean, there were 4 or 5 of them, so it's not a small group. I guess at least 100,000.
No, it was 25 grand.
Oh, that's it?
25
Oh,
grand.
I could get them
Yeah.
in my place.
Dude, I mean, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy's not, like, they're big, but they're not like 100 grand big. Creed was 100 grand, according to this website.
But Kirk
If you're
has
Kirk
that.
Cousins, you have $100 million in the bank. Are
You
you
got
balking
that.
at Creed for 100 grand?
I wonder if his family didn't like Kirk. That's
Kirk,
not
you
worth
can't
it.
do that, man.
That's really stupid, Kirk.
It's ridiculous.
So only 25 grand?
Yeah. How much would you? All right, one more, and then we'll get to the offensive line update here.
This is
okay?
pretty interesting, actually.
All right. What if you
I'm all in
wanted?
here.
What if you wanted? Oh, this is amazing. All right, Katy Perry. $500,000.
I bet it's more. I'd put the over on that, unless you're saying, is it 500?
I'm saying it's
No,
$500,000.
he's reading it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
$500,000
she'd come to your house for that much.
to play music.
To play music.
Well, right. I know. I didn't. You sickos. I didn't insinuate it.
To play music.
I'm saying to ply her craft, she's going to come to your
play
house
music.
for 500. Her craft is music
Just want to clarify.
for $500,000.
Yes.
$500,000. You know what?
You
Though? I
get
mean, she's a big name.
Kid Rock, $200,000.
I'm not. No, not now.
Come on, you got
Back
you're,
in the
you're
day,
an NFL quarterback.
Back
man.
in
You
the
get
day,
$100,000.
I'm not paying him $200,000 now. He's not worth it anymore.
Dude, Daughtry, $200,000. That's a little.
Daughtry.
I love
Oh
Daughtry.
my
That's a little
God.
bit of a stretch.
What's a Daughtry song?
I don't know if there's any like mainstream ones.
No, he
I've heard of Daughtry, but I don't know any songs.
Home.
home.
I'm coming home.
There you go.
Oh, that guy. That's.
To a place
I don't like that song that much.
This is the greatest episode of Purple Daily we've ever done.
It is. All right. Training camp notes. Okay.
Yeah, what's
from The
next?
Athletic. Offensive line shuffle here this week. The Vikings have indicated they're getting closer to deciding who will start at left guard, but their practice rotations raise more questions than answers. Initially, the Vikings would have Dakota Dozier start there and rotate on the first team and alternate reps with Aviant Collins. Are we pronouncing the E on the end of Aviant, Aviante?
I thought it was Aviante, but
Aviante Collins.
Say whatever you want for right now till he wins a job.
Collins would then take reps on the third team at left guard while Ezra Cleveland worked with the second team at that position. After it seemed like the Vikings dialed down Collins' first team snaps, it looked like the answer was coming soon in the form of Dozier, a veteran familiar with Rick Dennison from his time with the Jets. But things became a little strange when Collins played on the second team and bumped Cleveland down to the third team. And even stranger when the offensive line one-on-ones against the defensive line ended with Cleveland taking snaps at left tackle, while Riley Reif took snaps at left guard.
Intrigue.
Riley Reif taking snaps at left guard.
So this was yesterday?
Yes.
So maybe Coops wasn't telling the truth.
Is it possible that Riley Reif has been the starting left guard all along, and they've been smoke screening it until now? Or do you think they're just mixing him in at left guard as precaution?
Yes, I think they're doing that. I don't think
second
that.
one.
Yeah, I mean, the smokescreen storyline is really, really fun, and it's a bit of a conspiracy theory that I embrace fully. But my guess is that it's going to be Reif at left tackle and and Dozier at left guard to start with. And I also saw a report from somebody off practice yesterday that Cleveland was mixing in with a third team at guard.
Yeah. That was part of this snippet here.
Okay, so anyway.
So it's unlikely that Cleveland's going to be starting to start.
Sure, but I think if you were going to move Reif at this point in time, you've got to give him a fair chance to play left guard all of camp. Because you've got no games. I mean, there's nothing else. Pronunciation per the Vikings. Avian. A-H capital V-E-E -O-N.
Okay.
Avian Collins.
So it depends on.
But don't you think that they're probably doing some things to mix it up a little bit? But the reality is, I think what we're seeing for the majority of practices is what we're going to get initially. Initially.
Yeah, they don't have the luxury of doing like a 2-week smoke screen for the media thing, which honestly, sometimes when you have a full training camp, I'm not saying that they don't do like smoke screens as the central portion of their training camp, but when you've got like a week and a half in Mankato and then you have another month basically back in Eden Prairie back in the day, you could get away with not showing some certain things in Mankato or doing something and then changing it up for your practice.
And we didn't see that. I got a theory though. So my theory might be this one. So Collins and Dozier have competed for the starting spot at left guard, and it looks like Dozier, at least initially to start the season, is going to win that competition. What if Cleveland has been a disaster at guard? Like just a complete, but he can play tackle. So if they had to, worst case, Reif could probably slide inside worst case. So I'm not saying, hey, this is a good idea. But if all hell broke loose, you could slide Reif probably inside to hold up at guard and then give Cleveland the left tackle spot. How about that one?
That makes some sense.
But that's a bailout plan. That's not a plan that's a good plan.
I think Dakota Dozier is going to be your starting left guard, and I think it's just his job to lose. I think that's what's going to happen.
But let's say he gets hurt and I don't know. But I could see where they have tried Cleveland at guard, and he might not be good there.
Something else to think about. I mean, they still have all this cap space. Here's something. So the season starts in like 3 weeks.
Yep.
If they were to bring on, let's say they bring on a cornerback. I think the ship has sailed for bringing in an offensive lineman at this point. But does that guy have enough time? Like if they bring in, whether it's via trade or via free agency still, because there's still some guys sitting out there, I could see a pass rusher. Like if you were to sign Jadeveon Clowney or something, which I don't think that's going to happen at this point. You could plug that guy in. Hey, just go after the quarterback. You're fine. But cornerbacks or offensive linemen, there's so much integration and there's so much you have to get a feel for in terms of system and communication with your fellow secondary and offensive linemen. I almost think bringing somebody in to start week 1, I think the ship has sailed on that.
Oh, probably,
at certain positions.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm surprised. I really thought that they would go out and address something. Didn't you?
I did.
Like once
they've got $12 million, $13 million.
Once Pierce bailed on 2020, I really thought that they would say, okay, let's just address something. And it might not work, but who cares? Or if that was not going to be the case, that Cook might get the contract extension.
Oh. Declan,
0 for 2 so far.
I got one more for you.
What's up?
Big country music guy, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Rascal Flatts.
Oh, God, I hate Rascal.
How much are you paying to bring Rascal Flatts in?
I thought you had
No. There's a lot of country music artists I like, and Rascal Flatts I loathe them, but it's a good one. I would guess 400,000.
Wow, nailed it.
Are you serious?
Nice.
$400,000.
Yes.
Ding, play the ding.
Big time.
Hold on a second. What's the difference between the people you like in country music and Rascal Flatts, Dex?
Rascal Flatts is like everything. Like, I hate the sound of his voice. I hate the sound of the singer's voice. He's very twangy, and I just can't stand
What
it.
about Toby Keith?
Oh, Toby. God, I've seen Toby live. I
You
would
like his
say Toby was probably. I bet Toby's like 500.
350.
350? Okay.
I'll give you one more. Country guy here. This is more in Judd's era.
All right.
Merle Haggard. You want to bring Merle Haggard in?
He's still alive?
I wouldn't know. Actually,
I
don't
can
know.
get him?
Listen, for what you'd be paying him, he better damn well still be alive.
400 grand.
100 grand.
Oh, I should bring him to the park tomorrow.
100 grand seems like a discount unless he's not alive. In which case,
They
want
come in and
100 grand
prop him
back.
up. Prop him up. Weekend at Bernie style. Hey, it's Merle Haggard.
That's a wrap on this episode of Purple Daily.
Come on,
let
Kirk.
us know which musical artist you would pay
Why doesn't Kirk
$100,000 to
pay
bring
up?
in. If you're that rich, come on, man. It's only $100,000
So
for Creed.
did Kirk just like play Creed CDs or just
Well,
play
I
Creed
just
songs? But like was Kirk like so cheap?
Wide open.
Was Kirk so cheap he just like took a boombox out? He's like, yeah, we got Creed here. Hit play.
To Thielen. Hand off to Delvin for more touchdowns this season. With Kirk wide open.
You like that? You like that?
Pulled out a Zolgad there.
It's good.
All right, we got to go.
Okay.